So yeah, hello everyone. You may have seen a hello from me already, but yes, if you are interested in supporting Pick Up the Mic, you can check out our merch. We have t-shirts, books, more merch. If you're a Patreon member, you get a discount to make sure that you get on the merch train. If you like our content, a like, comment, and subscribe, always appreciated. Click the notification bell so you don't forget about our and you get notified when the next episode's coming out. And also, if you want to learn more about the stuff that we do, remember you can check out our 3 channels. You have Pick Up the Controller, our gaming channel where we discuss the world of gaming, upcoming games as well. We have Senses of Anime where we discuss the world of gaming and cosplay within London. And finally, we have the 2 Mesas channel with Joshua and Morgan discussing all your sci-fi and fantasy stuff. Make sure that you check out all those channels. And yeah, keep an eye out for today's sponsor of the video. But yeah, we will now go on to the episode.
When you're building your personal brand, what are the 3 words you want people to remember you by? So if they come and look at your page, whether it's that's LinkedIn or they meet you in person or even on Instagram, what are the 3 key takeaways? What are the 3 key words that you want people to remember you by? And then you start to build off that. So for me, mine is careers, advice, and then also mentorship. So when you come to my page, a lot of my content is focused on that. So those are the 3 things that I would say in terms of working on your keywords that you want people to remember you by.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well, hope you're looking after yourselves. Welcome to another episode of The Student Guide. Welcome to the final episode, season 6 of The Student Guide. Got the round of applause ready. We've officially come to the end. Believe it or not, it's been almost coming up to a year, but we've found 10 unique guests doing 10 unique things. We've spoken about diversity within biomed. We've talked about promoting women in STEM. We've spoken about career advancement. We have spoken about youth advocacy, youth work, a bit of everything. But to wrap things up, we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, branding, particularly when it comes to LinkedIn, because we know all you wonderful people in our audience, you may have just graduated from your undergraduate and you might be coming up to your graduation. Maybe you're looking for a change in career and you don't know what to do next. Well, we're going to help with that. As always, I say we've got amazing guest speakers. We have an amazing speaker to wrap up season 6. As always, I do not like to do introductions, so instead I'm going to hand over to our speaker. Could we please, first of all, thank you again for coming on. Could we please know who you are, what you do, and a bit more about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Mawuena. I'm a LinkedIn content creator. I share LinkedIn advice on how to navigate the corporate space and also how to stand out on LinkedIn. Yeah,
thank you very much. And fun fact, Mawuena is actually the person that recommended Jeffrey to come onto the podcast.
That's me, guys.
That was, we made a joke because we both said like it was the first time where we were just like, oh yeah, Jeffrey, like tell us a bit more about this. And it was very, it was very interesting.
That must have been so hard.
It took a minute.
I can imagine.
But yeah, we're going to kick things off with the first official question, which, if anyone's read your bio on our website or, through sort of the description of the episode, they will know that you started Corporate Collective. So first off, we'd just like to know what inspired you to start Corporate Collective? What is Corporate Collective? But then also, how does your personal experience in building your career influence the content and advice that you share with young professionals?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll probably ask you to repeat the last question again. But how I started Corporate Collective and what it is. So Corporate Collective is my organisation. It's like my baby. And it's an organisation that helps young students and young professionals on how to navigate the corporate space. For me, one of the main reasons why I started it is because when I finished university, I felt like I got thrown in the deep end. It's kind of like you're sold this glitz and glam of working in a 9 to 5. As soon as you enter it, you earn money. You no longer have to do exams. You no longer have to do coursework. And you're just going to live life. But it was like a dream. That was a lie, basically. And I really struggled to navigate the corporate space. And but I learned a lot. And I had a lot of mentors. And I had a lot of advice. And I learned a lot of lessons, like hard lessons. So Corporate Collective just shares that experience and that advice, especially to young students and young professionals, through like workshops, resources, content as well that we post as well. And then the second part of Corporate Collective is all about LinkedIn. Since posting on LinkedIn, I've understood that a lot of students, a lot of grads, a lot of young professionals have no clue how to use LinkedIn.
100%.
It's seen as a job board or like just looking for a job, but it's so much more than that. So Corporate Collective is about helping young students, young professionals on how to just navigate LinkedIn, how to stand out as well, build up their personal brand. Yeah, that's a bit about Corporate Collective.
Yeah, the second part, like I will say, a lot of them are long like this. So if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. But yeah, how does your personal experience in building your own career influence the content and advice that you share?
Yeah, so my personal experience, so I don't know if anyone watching is from Ghana, but I'm from Ghana, and I'm also the eldest child. And being Ghanaian and the eldest child comes with a lot of responsibilities, meaning you have to navigate the world for yourself. You need to find out what works for you and then passing that on to younger siblings. So for me, my parents don't actually work in the corporate space. So I was left to kind of figure things out for myself. You know, they could give me advice up until a certain point, but then after that, it was like, you're going to have to figure this one out. So along the way, that's what I did. I was figuring things out, and that's really influenced me in terms of the advice I share and the content that I write out to other people, because in my head, it's almost like I still have that responsibility of sharing what I've learned, and I'm just passing it on to like the younger generation or other people alongside me, or even the older generation who want to learn. And that's how it's really influenced just what I do today and my content.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think one key thing to like highlight is, I got it up so I can date it and make sure I'm right. But yeah, literally a day before recording this, you did a post literally saying, you know, about the importance of what's stopping you. Like, think about what's stopping you from posting on LinkedIn. And I think that's really great because I do agree, not a lot of young people know how to like post on LinkedIn or even how to navigate it. You know, funnily enough, before recording, you were speaking with my sister. As you mentioned, you can get brand deals, you can find partnerships, you can even get investment through LinkedIn. But yeah, people, like you said, they only see it as like a jobs board, or they see it's like a very professional like platform that you can't really talk about your person. Or sometimes people say it's just like the bragging platform of oh yeah, I've got this funding, this award, I've been nominated for this, or I've like won this scholarship. But it's actually not. Like, it's very much like an authentic place where people can show like what's navigating the corporate world looks like. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think there's definitely way much more to LinkedIn. There's ways that you can network with different people online. There's ways that you can basically start a business, get clients. It's endless. It's endless.
No, 100%. And even as you mentioned, like this podcast episode came through LinkedIn.
Yes. So I think you DM'd me or I DM'd you. Whichever way round, we basically DM'd one another, and that's basically how today's come about. So if they need any more of a reason as to get on LinkedIn, this is the reason.
100%. But yeah, we're gonna go on to the next question, which I think is very important because it's all about building a personal brand. What are the key elements and things like that? So start us off. We're gonna do mic check. So for anyone who's new, it's our interesting fact and figure that links to the discussion and like what we're talking about. For this episode, the fact is actually from, it's a bit old, it's about 4 years old, but LinkedIn had a UK's emerging jobs report. And it found that the demand for soft skills such as communication and personal branding has increased by 22% over the last 5 years. So from 2015 to 2020, it has increased by 22%. And for us as a team, we said that this clearly like highlights the importance of building a personal brand, but not only like building one in general, building one early into your career. So this question is all about, as I mentioned, what does that look like? So I'd like to know from you, what are the key elements of building a strong personal brand? And what can students, or how can students begin to develop theirs while currently being at university?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think for me, the first thing I would say is don't overthink it. I think when it comes to building a personal brand, the number one thing I get from young students and young professionals is, I've got a lot on my mind. I don't know where to start. It's okay. Don't overthink it. I think the best place to start is when you're building your personal brand, what are the 3 words you want people to remember you by? So if they come and look at your page, whether that's LinkedIn or they meet you in person or even on Instagram, what are the 3 key takeaways? What are the 3 key words that you want people to remember you by? And then you start to build off that. So for me, mine is careers, advice, and then also mentorship. So when you come to my page, a lot of my content is focused on that. So those are the 3 things that I would say in terms of working on your keywords that you want people to remember you by. And then I would say be authentic to you as well. A lot of the time when it comes to building your personal brand, I think people tend to copy what has worked for other people, and what hasn't worked for other people, they tend to push aside. But what makes you authentic is actually what will help to put your personal brand together and what actually helps to work. And it's about having that niche and that USP that other people won't necessarily have. I have friends that have niches with their personal brands. I have like a friend who's a food blogger. I have a friend who basically reviews clothes. And, you know, it might not necessarily have the biggest following, or it might not necessarily have as much traction, but that's their personal brand and their story and their experiences that no one else can take away from them. So in terms of building a personal brand while still being at uni, that's a really, really good question, because I wish I actually started my personal brand while I was at university. And in terms of building your personal brand while I was at university, I would say start by sharing your stories. 100%. Start by sharing the courses that you're doing, what you like, what you dislike, some of the hobbies, the interests that you're doing, the friends that you're making, even maybe what you're learning at university. It can start from the smallest things, the simplest things, like, I don't know, like accommodation, finding out the best accommodation in your area, things like that. I think that's really important, because when it comes to personal branding, I think people can take it out of context and make it so serious. But when you actually go back to the basics of personal branding, it's about sharing your stories and experiences.
100%.
And I think when you look at it from that perspective, it helps you to breathe and relax. And then you're like, you know what? It's actually not that bad. So that's what I would definitely say in terms of university students. Don't feel afraid to share your story when it comes to your personal brand, no matter how big, no matter how small as well. I'll say start from that. And also don't be afraid to share your achievements as well. I know that LinkedIn sometimes is seen as a personal branding platform, but like a bragging platform as well. But this is the space to do it, and this is the time, because other people are doing it as well. And that's also one of the purposes of LinkedIn, to share your achievements, to share your milestones as well, and be your biggest advocate. And that's also part of your personal branding. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Honestly,
long-winded.
No. Like I say, it's always great to hear people's advice. And round of applause as well. Yeah, because honestly, this was incredible. Because I definitely agree that, so when it comes to uni students, there is, like you said, like they either their university will tell them, like, you know, you need a LinkedIn account. And I was lucky enough that the person that like was doing placements for my university, she was just like, you need to have a LinkedIn account. You need to put sort of like your stuff on there. And she was just like, just use it like as a way to like build up your stuff. But literally, as you mentioned, like, people, even like to this day, when I'm sometimes doing posts, I do sometimes feel like, oh, should I post it? Is it right? But it's like we said, it's just the biggest thing is telling your story. And it even links to like a entrepreneurial mindset, because like loads of people say it, but as a business, like people invest in stories. They don't necessarily invest in the business just because of the business. Like businesses that have a consistent and good like customer relationship, or even like they might like do bad, like not necessarily super bad things, but they might not do the best things, but because they've got that good customer relationship, they do well because they know their target audience and they hit them really well.
It's so true.
And I guess like the biggest example I'll say this and then go to the next question. Biggest example of this for me is I'm a gamer, so I love Xbox. And literally people say that with Xbox, like they sometimes have misses, sometimes games don't do well, or like things are super pricey and you're just like, why is this? Xbox are not happy. But Xbox know to meet their customers, meet their audience on like an individual level. So they're like, oh, you know, the CEO of Xbox might come out and apologize and be like, hey guys, like we're sorry about like how this came. Like, you know, this wasn't our plan. And people be like, you know what? Okay, you know what you've done, or like even like with the marketing of videos. You know, sometimes like biggest thing was they acquired like Activision, so a big gaming company, and then literally maybe hours or day after like that acquisition had been made public, they did a video basically saying like, welcome these new games to like Xbox, you know, we're excited to bring you in. But yeah, it's all about knowing your audience and like marketing that. And yeah, the best business, like the businesses that are still around today know that, which is why people say like with Nike has gone from literally having to put their logo and say, just do it, to just some even like some logos do like, just say, just like they just have do it. Because people know that that's Nike.
So, or even sometimes just the tick.
Just the tick as well.
Yeah. Like I've definitely noticed that as well. But it's like you said as well, it's just about your story. It's just about the experience as well. Because at the end of the day, with your personal brand, you're portraying an experience. So 100%. It's more so about how you want people to feel and what are the words you want people associated with your personal brand. And just starting from there. It's really simple. And just being consistent with it, really. 100%. And doing what works for you, because I know that sometimes people can say, you know, consistency means posting once a week or every single day, but that's not necessarily the case. It could mean like posting once every 3 months. But as long as you're being consistent and it's sustainable for you, then it's more than fine.
100%. And even as you mentioned, like with like business, like brands like Nike and Adidas, like even you can see with the way that they market their videos, like for the Olympics, Nike had their video advertising the Olympics, but they never do it from, oh yeah, we're Nike, we're sponsoring like all these athletes. It's like, no, we're going to talk about like motivational stuff. You know, rest in peace, but like when Kobe, they did an advert with Kobe Bryant, literally with one where it's like all these different like, so it was when he was playing in the NBA, and they did like an advert where he's like, essentially a conductor, and all his haters are in the audience, all from different like other like fans, and they were saying like, oh, we hate you suck, this, that, and he was just like, this is just music to me. Like I know, like you, like I don't let your words get to me. I focus on my mentality. So yeah, even like the way that those brands do it, they don't necessarily need to go out and say like, oh, I'm happy to be a Nike ambassador, this and that. It's like, no, we're gonna let them tell their stories and how Nike is a part of their journey.
It's so true. And it's actually so nice to see as well the evolution of how things have moved as well, because even what you talked about that advert, it's like it's a focus on the haters, but how he can basically like use that to fuel what he does. And at the end of the day, that's his story. And Nike used that and said, okay, we're gonna run with it. So yeah,
definitely. But yeah, we're gonna go on to the next question, which, you know, we've been talking about it for a while. They actually, funnily enough, were an MC of the month before. LinkedIn.
Yes.
So yes, based off this discussion, based off what we talked about, LinkedIn is obviously critical tool for personal branding.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes, students and young professionals make on LinkedIn, and how can they avoid making them?
Yes. So I would say the main mistake young professionals and young students are making, there's two main mistakes that they're making. So first of all, they're trying to copy other people. It's very, very obvious when someone posts on LinkedIn and you can tell that that's not their story, that they've tried to copy someone else and make it fit towards their narrative. It just feels, the best way to describe it is unnatural. So I'll say that's the first mistake. The second, it kind of links into the second mistake is they're not authentic in terms of telling their story and what they need to post about on LinkedIn. And then I would say the third one is formatting. Okay. It's formatting. I think the main thing is, I think sometimes young students and young professionals, they can be so focused on wanting to get the content out there and just wanting to post, but not really taking the time to think, okay, even though I want to share my story, even though I want to share my experience, who am I writing for? Because at the end of the day, we know that young students and young professionals have short attention spans. It's very unlikely that someone of that demographic is going to read 4 paragraphs on LinkedIn. Okay. Sorry to break people's hearts. I've been writing 4 paragraphs. So even just simple things like formatting, keeping the sentences short, making sure that there's spaces within the sentences, because at the end of the day, most people are reading LinkedIn on their phone, not on a computer anymore. So at the end of the day, if you're reading from your phone, it's like, okay, what formatting would help it look better to the eye or like easier for someone to read? Are they using big words? Are they using jargon? And it's like just remembering that LinkedIn has actually moved away from, it's still professional, but it's very much more informal. So I would say that's another mistake that young professionals, young students are making, that, you know, the formatting and how they write their posts, it can just be very off. And a lot of the time, a lot of people are not reading a lot of the time. So that's what I would say in terms of mistakes that they're making. And I'll just encourage anyone out there who's honestly been thinking about it for a while to post, just go for it. At the end of the day, you've probably got friends on your connections that are going to like your content. They're probably going to repost or even comment. But at the end of the day, it's not even about them or for them. It's just about putting out your story 100%. And sharing your experiences. So,
yeah, no, definitely. And even as you mentioned, like, it's seeing like who, like when you do that, and like you said, it's natural, it's authentic, people will just be like, oh wow, like I've never, and I think that's what people underestimate, is that sometimes when your content you post on LinkedIn, sometimes random people will like, they will comment, they'll be like, oh hey, like I really love your story, like could we connect? Like, I'm really interested in the work that you do. And it's never, you know, like you said, it's never someone saying like, oh yeah, hey, like I've won like millions of pounds, or like, oh, actually, you know, I'm up for this big award. Sometimes it's literally just like, oh yeah, you know what? I've actually just been struggling to with this issue or to tackle this.
Yeah, that's even like was making me think about something. Like most of the viral posts I've seen on LinkedIn have been about like someone's like challenge or like a negative experience. Like majority of the time it might be, oh, I've been fired from my job role, and you know, these are some of the things I've learned, or I'm really struggling on just enjoying where I'm at right now, or I don't really know what I want to do in my career. Can anyone help me? Like those are the posts that I see that do the best compared to someone saying, oh, I've achieved this many certificates and training courses and etc. What XYZ. Majority of the time, people are like, oh, okay, like, and that's it, and they go past that. But majority of the time, they're wanting to look at that. Okay, is this story real? Is it actually authentic? Are they being truthful as to how the actual experience was like? Because we know social media in this day and age, everyone likes to pretend, or they like to exaggerate things that they've gone through, that they're doing. And at the end of the day, I think everyone could tell when they're lying. They're lying.
100%.
They're lying.
And it's just like you said, like just sharing like an authentic posts and saying like, hey, look, you know, actually, this is the stuff that I'm dealing with this week. And I think one thing to touch on is, as you mentioned, there is no, like people think, like you said, oh, if I post once a week or once a day, like that means I'm guaranteed to like get LinkedIn or even like Instagram success or anything like that. But it's not. It's about, like you said, like having that consistency with how you post. But even like in addition to that, it's like you said, like experimenting. Like you said, maybe do like like a couple of sentences. Maybe the next time you record like a 30-second video. Maybe you actually find someone else who's talking about something that you've done and you literally repost with your own thoughts and put that as your post.
No, definitely. And I think that's one of the things I really love about LinkedIn. You can experiment and there's no right or wrong answer. There's been many times where I've gone on LinkedIn and, you know, some of the LinkedIn gurus have said, oh, do it like this and do it like that. And I've done the complete opposite and it's worked. And it's worked. So that's one of the things I really do love about LinkedIn, that there's no right or wrong answer. And I think majority of the time people feel so overwhelmed about LinkedIn because they're like, oh, I have to do it this way. And, you know, they're unsure of the way to do it because a lot of the time people are like, I'm not sure how to navigate LinkedIn. And it's like, well, there is a bit of navigation, but majority of the time it's like, you're just sharing your story.
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we're going to go on to the next one. This is all about success stories. So obviously, a lot of people have attended your workshops. They've benefited from your advice. Could you share any specific success stories from students or young professionals who have applied for the advice from the Corporate Collective workshops?
Yes, I will. So I'm actually going to use my brother for this one.
Nice.
I'm going to use my brother because he was my first testimonial. So my brother, he didn't want to go to uni. He actually wanted to do an apprenticeship. I had to explain to my parents what that means because, you know, they didn't understand. So I was like, it's okay, guys. I've got you. So yeah, he wants to do an apprenticeship in media. And I said to him, this is when I was like, you know, doing what I was doing on LinkedIn. I was helping other students as well. But I was like, you know what, because my brother's 18. I was like, you know what, yeah, I'm just going to help him. So I sat him down one day and I said, let's go through your LinkedIn. Let me help you. And I said to him, okay, this is what you can use LinkedIn for, because you can use LinkedIn not just for job posting or looking for jobs. You can use it for so much other things as well. I said to him, make sure when you upload your picture on your personal profile, you're smiling. There's actually a statistic that 60% of recruiters actually would hire someone that is actually smiling on their LinkedIn profile with their teeth compared to someone that isn't, which is actually a really big number. But anyway, so let him know about the profile picture, setting up his banner, even his bio as well. So he was actually looking at being an aspiring videographer. Okay. And I said to him, okay, that's great. Post about some of the things that you've learned. Post about where it is that you want to go. Start connecting with people that you're interested in. Started doing that. In the space of a week, he managed to do a video campaign with our local MP.
Nice.
Yes. And that was his first ever. That was his first ever client. Yeah. And it just goes to show the power of LinkedIn. 100%. And I always just share that story because when wanting to help someone, it starts at home at the end of the day. And then that's when you then go out onto others. And now when I do my workshops and I go out and speak to students, and they're like, oh, but how do you know it really works? It worked for you, but how do we know it works? I'm like, just look at my brother, And since then, he's now gone and worked with other creatives. And even recently, he went to a networking event where he worked with other videographers. And he was doing the behind the scenes for ZZ Mills. Wow. For her show. And he's actually been in contact with a few other videographers who've been working on Supercell as well. That's incredible. And this is just all from building his LinkedIn, working on it, and bearing in mind before that my brother had no clients. He had no portfolio. And this has just all been on, okay, let's take LinkedIn seriously. And I would say my brother's the best case study because first of all, he was very skeptical, very much like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. He doesn't like taking pictures either. So if you go on his LinkedIn, he is building up his LinkedIn personal branding. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. So that's a success story that I love talking about.
Yeah. Well, again, with a round of applause. Because I think that's a really great story for two reasons. Yeah. I think the first reason is literally, as you mentioned, people get on LinkedIn, they're very hesitant to customize their profile. So you said, even if they are on LinkedIn, even if they are starting to do posts, no picture, no banner, bio is generic stuff that LinkedIn's pulled from their experiences and awards and stuff. But people forget that you can customize all of that. You can personalize it and add to it.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, I think what people need to remember is that if you put yourself in the shoes of someone else looking on your LinkedIn profile, it can seem a bit scary because there's a lot of scary people out there. So if you have no profile picture, no banner, no information, or it's literally minimal information, the chances of someone wanting to contact you about an opportunity or, just even wanting to network is very low. So it's this is the best way to put yourself out there because at the end of the day, one of the analogies I love to use is, if you go to a networking event in real life, you see someone that's dressed maybe in a hoodie, they've got their hood up, sunglasses on, barely making eye contact. All you want to say hello. The answer's no. So it's the same thing with LinkedIn. So smile, put yourself out there, make sure there's good lighting. Just the basics of doing something simple like that honestly makes such a big difference. 100%. So yeah. And I think one thing to also add to what you're saying is people it's funny because it's especially with students, it tends to be that their profile picture will be graduation, or I know sometimes after for my master's, my placement was supporting undergrad students who wanted placements, and we did a workshop, and the placement advisor was saying even with people's LinkedIn pictures, she was some of them are doing very you can have a casual photo of you in a t-shirt smiling, that's cool, but literally we said, she said some of them it's just she turned around to them and was just this is way too casual. Understand that yes, you don't need to be dressed in a suit and hire a professional photographer to do your photo for LinkedIn, but she said it also then shouldn't be the opposite, that this is you very laid back, very chill, because literally, as you said, this will be the first thing someone sees. Even arguably the people forget the headline. On LinkedIn, obviously when you change your job, the headline changes, but you can also customize that as well. You can customize your URL as well, and I think a lot of people, this actually isn't one of the questions. Okay. But, going spontaneous. Okay.
But I think it's important to say because I think for a lot of people, they might not necessarily know this. But I want to ask you, I know the answer, but I want to ask you, some students, and I know from friends, I know from just being at uni, this is what some of the people are thinking. They thought, if I pay for LinkedIn Premium, I'm guaranteed to like get a job. My branding's going to go through the roof. Like this is basically like, you can't get any of this stuff on the free version of LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you have to pay to like grow. Is this the case?
No, it's a lie. It's a lie. They're lying. They're lying to you. It is a lie. Yeah, it's a lie. Honestly, the reason being is because when I started posting on LinkedIn, or just even taking it seriously, and even my personal branding, aside from the posting, I was not on premium for a good 9 months. I did try it, but honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference. There's so much free tools and free features you can use on LinkedIn that you don't need premium for, 100%. Honestly. It's all about putting in the work. So it's about, making sure that your profile's up to date. Like you mentioned, making sure that your headline is customized to who you are, where you want to go, what you stand for, even just your profile picture, your banner, making sure that your experience is up to date. And even if you haven't worked at a corporate job or a 9 to 5, even the experiences that you've had at university, or even case studies or things you've done in terms of working in a team, because those are the things I told my brother, because he hadn't worked in like a corporate organization or a 9 to 5. He hadn't had much experience. Just making sure those things are up to date. And then putting yourself out there. And then when I mean putting yourself out there, it's not necessarily just posting, because I know some people are a bit scared with that. But it's about sending that connection request, messaging someone, DMing them, saying, hey, I've noticed this about your profile, or hey, I'm actually interested in X, Y, and Z, and this is where I am right now. Is it possible to have a virtual coffee chat and offer some advice? Or is it possible, if you can't get on the virtual coffee chat, if you could type some advice and send it back to me? So yeah, just doing things like that honestly helps. But yeah, the premium is a lie. It's all about you putting in the work, because I know that a lot of students are like, oh, I have to do a subscription, and it's also pricey. If you're a student, it's pricey.
It is, yeah,
it's quite pricey. Don't let LinkedIn know I said that. But it's pricey. So yeah, you don't need premium. It's a lie. So you guys can relax.
Perfect. Mental health is really important to us at Pick Up the Mic, and we love to share resources that can support your mental health. And that's why we are so glad to have today's sponsor. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get you started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live appointments when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't right for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at an affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/pickupthemic. I've also linked them down below in the description. So again, that's betterhelp.com/pickupthemic, MIC, and start your journey today. Yeah, 100% agree. It is, people think that like LinkedIn Premium is just their golden ticket to like success and all the opportunities they've been missing out on. But yeah, they don't make access of stuff. Quick shout out. If you're a Brunel student, I don't know if it's still there. So if it's not, this may not be accurate. But at least when I was at Brunel, they gave you access. So if you were staff or student, you got access to LinkedIn Learning through the university.
Oh, that's so good.
So you got all the courses. You could do as many courses as you wanted. Wow. But yeah, people like a lot of students didn't know that at the time. But yeah, the Professional Development Center, or PDC at Brunel, I don't know what the arrangement is, but they have an arrangement with LinkedIn Learning that you can, as long as you just use your university login, you can use it. And like I said, it works for both staff and students. So even if you are a staff member and you're just like, wow, I want to like build up my career, like you said, like I want to know more about like LinkedIn or like a certain software. You can go to like log in, just connect your LinkedIn Learning to your like Brunel login. And then, you can access all the stuff on all the courses on LinkedIn Learning.
That's crazy. That is so good. If I was at Brunel,
Yeah,
but so you guys heard it here.
Yeah, honestly. But yeah, a lot of students didn't know about that. So even when I was like working in the placements team, I was telling students like, oh, if you're like, if you don't know what you want to do next, or if you want like additional interview help, I said, you get like this software, like you get LinkedIn Learning for free. And I was like, really? I had no idea. I was like, yeah, you get like we've emailed you about this, we told you about this.
People don't read their emails,
People don't read their emails.
So bad.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's the same, but to be honest, arguably, same with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can reach out to people, send them, like you said, a networking request. And sometimes people don't get back.
Yeah. I've made a couple posts about that because I think a lot of people can feel very discouraged when someone doesn't actually respond back to your connection request or message. I think the first thing to know is sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it's the person could be having a bad day. Sometimes the person might have not even opened their LinkedIn account for a month. Sometimes they could have a lot of messages and they're trying to get back to people, because I know that sometimes that's the case with me. I have a lot of messages, but I do try and make sure I get back to everyone. So yeah, it's never about you, but I would definitely say getting ignored on LinkedIn is inevitable, but it's about what you do from that. If you just stop, then that's your loss. If you continue, then you never know who you might meet in that connection request. But yeah, getting ignored on LinkedIn is inevitable. So you just got to bite the bullet and keep going, guys.
100%. But yeah, we've come to the last official question before we go to passing the mic. And this is looking at mentorship in the corporate space. We've actually, funnily enough, spoken about this in a couple of episodes this season. But yeah, how do you see the role of mentorship evolving in the corporate space, particularly with students and young people entering the workforce? And I think to like highlight, both in the sense of we're in, like, even though I guess we're out of COVID, like there's still, for a lot of people, both at least, well, I know especially at university, people who like work at universities have mentioned both on the podcast and off that there's definitely like a shift in like student, you can see like who attended university before and after COVID, or even like secondary school, college, primary school, like you can see that shift. But also, I guess as things like with the cost of living crisis, things like that, how do you see mentorship evolving in the corporate space?
Oh, I love this question because I feel like there's so many different components. I would say the first thing I would say is one of the things I love about Gen Z is that we're vocal. And I think one of the main things about Gen Z is that they're vocal because they know that there's a knowledge gap, especially with COVID, especially in the recent years, a lot of things have happened. And just in terms of how the UK system works, we go to the education system our whole life, we're thrown into the corporate world and we're told, figure it out, okay? And you can climb up the corporate ladder, but you figure it out. And I think Gen Z is like, actually, we don't want to figure it out by ourselves. We need help. We need help. And we want that help. And I think with mentorship evolving in the corporate space, it's going to be one of two ways. The first thing is a lot of corporate organizations are going to realize the real need for mentorship. And if they don't have that, then there's going to be higher turnover rates with young professionals and those in early careers. A lot of young professionals will go into an organization and leave because they're not getting that support and help 100%. That they need. So corporate organizations would then have to start implementing formal mentorship programs. So I'll say that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is if there's no formal mentorship programs, then Gen Z and young professionals are going to start creating that themselves. 100%. So already I've seen the rise of young professionals just reaching out to those within the corporate space and asking for mentorship informally, and also just even communities and groups forming as well. So when I first started the corporate world, a lot of the communities that I see on like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, they were non-existent. And I was like, where was this when I was growing? I'm not old, guys. Okay, I need to disclaimer, I'm not old. I need to say that because I'm acting like I'm old. But I was like, where was this when I first started? And this was 3 years ago when I first started the corporate space. So it wasn't that long ago. So there's definitely a shift in that, just creating a safe space and communities for young professionals and young students even to gain that mentorship. And I've noticed a lot of seasoned professionals have a lot of empathy for young students and young professionals, so they're more than willing to help. I think a lot of people who are seeking mentorship, sometimes within the corporate space, are like, oh, I don't want to bother them, they're really busy. No, that's not the case. They're more than willing to help. They love like giving back. They love speaking about like, here's what I did where I went wrong. Here's how you can progress faster than I did. Here's what you can do to make sure that you get a head start. And it's actually so nice to see. But yeah, I definitely see the mentorship space evolving within the corporate organizations and just even the corporate world with just mentorship programs starting formally but also informally. But regardless of whichever way it happens, mentorship is on the rise, and I definitely think we're going to start seeing more organizations like popping up that just focus on mentorship programs. And that's also just as a quick plug. I do have a friend who has a mentorship charity.
Yeah, we wanna hear it,
it's called Bridging Barriers. I don't know if you've seen it, come across it.
I think I have actually.
Yeah. So the charity focuses predominantly on just helping students with like mentorship programs within different corporate organizations and spaces. So whatever industry that they're interested in, they'll pair you up with someone else that's also in that industry, and it's free as well. It's like, I think it's like a 3-month mentorship program. So if you're ever interested in finding mentorship, look at Bridging Barriers. But yeah, that's how I would basically see it.
Yeah, that's really great. And yeah, I definitely agree, as you mentioned, that the interesting thing, like you said, with Gen Z is, again, I'm not that old. I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, it is interesting to see that, like, if something doesn't exist, I guess we are just like, we're going to make it. Because that's the same thing with Pick Up the Mic. We felt like a lot of students don't know about like the opportunities available to them. At least this was at Brunel, but we were just like, it's probably the same at other universities across the UK, maybe globally. And we were just like, cool, we're going to like create this space where people can learn information, people can sort of like be put in contact, or like they can come and speak about stuff that they're passionate about. You know, like you said, I know that there are other podcasts, businesses, content creators that do similar things. They've said, this was a gap, I want to fill in said gap because no one else is doing it. And they did. So literally, like you said, it is clearly that's essentially like the way things are going. Either spaces are made or people will make them themselves. Which is really great.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And yeah, one final thing to say before we go to passing the mic is, as you mentioned with mentorship, I think sometimes, especially as a young person, you feel like you can't mentor. And the biggest like shift to that for me has been like through my workplace, I have been able to mentor someone, as well as like my workplace allowed me to mentor, like as director Pick Up the Mic, mentor people at this like 2-day festival that they do. And both of those has been really interesting because there were people that were coming up to me, especially at that 2-day event, that were just like, they were older than me. So the event was like 18 to 30 year olds, but they were older than me, and they were just like, oh yeah, like I saw that you specialize in this, like, can I know, like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, oh yeah, like cool, like sharing all this stuff. And then yeah, sometimes you feel like because of your age, you're not like able to do that sort of mentoring. You're not able to give that advice. Even with the person that I'm currently mentoring, like, you know, sometimes I feel the same thing. But yeah, it's just interesting to see when people are just like, no, actually, you've got like all this knowledge and experience, and I'd actually really benefit from hearing from you. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think what you mentioned in terms of sometimes when you just think about your age and you're like, oh, how can I mentor someone that's older than me? Because I definitely get that, and I still do sometimes. But one of the things that I always remember is that there's so much knowledge that we know that they don't know because we grew up in a different time.
100%.
But then they also have knowledge that we can benefit from because they grew up at a different time. So it's like a vice versa type thing. And then that's what helps me to be like, oh, you know what? They're asking me for information. They don't know because they didn't grow up in this time and they don't know about it. So I'm more than willing to help them. An example is at my old workplace. I was the only young person at the time, below 30. And, you know, they asked me to help, even though it wasn't in my job description, which I didn't mind. But they asked me to help head up social media, especially TikTok. And it's like, they were asking me so much questions, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And sometimes it's like, we can overlook what we know. But it's like, it's actually very valuable because at the end of the day, they needed me. 100%. So yeah, I definitely agree. Mentorship goes vice versa.
Thank you. Yeah, we're now going to go on to passing the mic. We're obviously physically not passing the mic, but we're swapping roles. So Mawuena, could you let us know, could you let me know what question you would like to, or questions you've got for
questions.
me today?
I feel like I've got the power now. No joking. Okay, one question I would like to ask you is, if you could go back in time, what is the biggest lesson you've learned that you wish you could tell your younger self?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think definitely like don't let like fear hold you back. Or dealing with like not knowing like not having all the answers doesn't mean that you can't take the risk. Because I feel like both professionally and sometimes personally, you do feel like you can't take risks because you may not have everything sorted. You may feel like if it's professionally, you might feel like you're underqualified. Even like sometimes for like some of the awards that both myself as an individual, sometimes as a business go for, sometimes like I'm just like, I don't know if like I'd get it. But literally sometimes it's just about like not letting that fear get to you and just putting yourself out there and being like, actually, you know what, I'm gonna try something new.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I guess another question I have is, in terms of, your journey with the podcast, who has made the biggest impact as to why you're doing what you're doing and for you to keep going? It's deep, isn't it? That's why I said all the power's in my hands.
That's a good question. Who would I say?
This is where I do the mic drop.
I'd say, so one person in particular is someone that I like did the first episode with, who like we're still really good friends, called Samuel. So he was someone. So like to keep it brief, Pick Up the Mic started because so I went to be the BME officer at my student union. Samuel was one of my campaign officers. It was during COVID, so this is October 2020. We couldn't go out and campaign. You had to do all the campaigning online or like in your accommodation block. And he was just like, so he agreed to like help support me. He was like sharing things with his flatmates. He was on campus, I wasn't, so he was like also like spreading the word and like with different people he gave me recommendations and stuff. But definitely like Samuel has to be one of them because even though like now he doesn't actively like support Pick Up the Mic in the sense of he's not in every episode or even like for this podcast he's not in the episodes for this anymore. He's very like, we still catch up and he's just like, oh yeah, how is it going? Like, what's up? Like, let's talk about things. Even if there's certain ideas that I've got or things I want to do, like he's happy for me to run ideas by him, which I really appreciate. Second would be my manager during my undergrad placement. But she's basically become, I guess, a mentor. But her, shout out Leslie.
Leslie, if you're watching.
Thank you very much. But she would definitely be one because even so going into the undergrad placement, she's always been like, oh, like very supportive, was just like, what do you want to get out of this? Like, how can I support you in that? Even after I finished like that placement, like that's not to say like if you're a manager you have to like keep in touch with like your previous employees, but even after I finished the placement, came back to do my final year, again she was very much supportive. When I came, like I finished my final year, went straight back to do my masters, she was just like, let's work together, let's still keep in touch. And it's the same with today. She shares opportunities with me, she lets me run pieces of advice like past her. So for me it's really great because she even like so if people follow my own page or you've seen or Pick Up the Mic, I did a graduation speech. Like even to get that was also like her support. So being able to sort of like, I told her I had this dream of doing one and I was like, I don't know if I'd like even be able to do it for my own one. And she was just like, well, why not? Let's see if we can work something out and let's speak to some people and see what can be done. And like stuff got worked out, things happened. So she'd definitely be a second one. Third one's a bit tough. Who would I say? I say collectively my family, because they do like they all do like their own sort of like entrepreneurial like creative practices. So to see them do stuff like has always shown me that I could do my own things. So it's been really great to see that because it means that now I can like actively, like I know there's nothing stopping me from doing these things, which has been really great. So those would be my like top three.
Okay, and I guess one last question, keep it lighthearted. What's your favorite cuisine?
Oof, that's a tough choice.
Favorite cuisine?
Yeah, because like Japanese and Chinese, you know what? The thing is, I'm like, obviously, like you like, and I say this wholeheartedly, like local Chinese shops, I've heard from
Yeah.
people that I know Chinese, they're just like, it's not always authentic, like Chinese food.
Okay, yeah, same. I've heard the same thing as well.
So yeah, so I was just like, Chinese food is definitely up there, but like I don't think I've actually had like authentic Chinese food.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I think, I'm gonna have to do a top 3. Mexican, Japanese or Chinese, I will say is a combo.
Okay.
Because I've had authentic Japanese food, really great. I don't know if I've definitely had authentic Chinese food.
Okay.
But I would keep those two the same. And then finally, what would be number 3? I don't know, I might have to keep Chinese and Japanese separate. But yeah, Mexican. Yeah,
Mexican's up there.
Yeah.
I've never really had good Mexican food. Like, aside from Cabana, I don't know what other Mexican restaurants there are.
There's a new one my sister took. One of my sisters took, like, all of us as siblings to. There's this actor called Danny Trejo. He opened up, like, a Mexican restaurant. I don't even remember where. I think, is it Royal Park?
Okay.
I don't know if it's Royal Park.
I'll Google the actor.
But yeah.
I might try it. Guys, try the Mexican restaurant.
I won't lie, it's good. It's a bit pricey. I won't lie, but you get, like, the tacos were good. And it was, like, to the point where I think I only had, like, 2 tacos. Yeah. And I was looking at the menu and I was just like, I think the tacos probably won't even be enough. I'm going to have to, like...
Oh, you ordered more?
No, like, they were filling.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good then. Because most tacos are not that filling. Okay, I'm going to look it.
So that's what I'd recommend.
Yeah, I'm done with the questions. No
Thank
more
you very
from me.
much. Thank you. We're now going to go on to MC of the Month, which is our organisation or individual that supports that's doing work related to the discussion we're talking about. We have quite a few. I think the one that we sort of like alluded to a few times but haven't actually explicitly said as MC of the Month would be Bright Network. So if you don't know Bright Network, they are a platform that connects students and recent graduates with career opportunities. They provide advice on personal branding and networking. They share like both videos through like YouTube, but also through their like website and through newsletters on like career stuff. So if you are looking to like, if you just graduated, you're looking to like elevate your own like business, like not business, your own career stuff, or even if you're looking for like jobs, maybe you're tired of like only finding jobs through LinkedIn. I would also say check out Bright Network. They do a lot of cool stuff. And I know even when I was working at Brunel for placements, like that's where collectively as a placement team, you would go to Bright Network. You would also go to like other platforms like LinkedIn and GradCracker and all of this stuff. But you would go to Bright Network to also like see this stuff. Or if there was, like I mentioned, like a video or a blog that they did about like educational stuff, you would use it as well. And yeah, they're mainly like, it's a UK-based platform, so a lot of the opportunities are based in the UK, but some of them, I think sometimes they do post like international stuff as well. So if you are looking to move out of the UK, there's the platform for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have come to the takeaway section, which is the last one of this season. As I've been saying throughout the whole season, we are working. I'll get it to you at some point. I know I said this for a couple episodes. We are working to get a sponsor, either local business or bigger sponsor. It's mainly just finding out a time where we can be free to collect stuff. But we should have sponsorship season 7. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you are listening and you don't know, the takeaway section is not where we give you food. This is not Deliveroo, and we're not buying.
I wish it was.
Yeah, you know what? I've said, like, that's what I've said. If Deliveroo, Just Eat, want to sponsor us, hit me up. I'd love it.
Yeah.
But this is where we give you a message to go home with. And I guess, yeah, as our last guest of season 6, no pressure.
Yeah.
But based on everything we've spoken about this episode, which funnily enough, I would say in all the episodes that we've done this season, there's elements of what we've discussed here today. What would you like our audience at home to take away? And I'm not even going to, I'm actually going to give you 2. I'm going to say take away from from this episode specifically. But as I've mentioned, because this is linked with some of the other episodes we've done this season, for everyone who's listened, let's say from start to finish of season 6, what would be the message you would like them to know? There's a lot of pressure.
That's a good question. So I would say 2 things. So the first thing is what we've been discussing throughout this whole podcast with sharing your story. And I would say it doesn't even just stop at LinkedIn. It goes into every aspect of your life, personal, professional. Just share your story, share your experiences. You never know who you can help. You never know who you can connect with. You never know where it can lead you, what can happen. Just from me sharing my story and wanting to share and help other people, that's why I'm here today. So I'll definitely say share your story. And then I would say the second takeaway is always remember that you are good at what you do. You just need to find the right environment. And the reason why I would say that is because as a young professional and also a young student, there was many times where I was trying to figure things out in terms of my career, figure things out in terms of what I like, where I want to go, what I want to do. But there was always that doubt and that fear in terms of like what I could do, what I'm good at. And I realized that majority of the time you are good at what you do. You just need to find the right environment. And those are the two main takeaways I would share. And then maybe the last one is get Mexican food and try the restaurant that Jeffrey said. So yeah, that's it.
No, that's perfect. And yeah, I guess to echo that for the season, you've seen 10 amazing individuals share their own stories. So yeah, never be afraid to tell your story, whether it's coming onto our podcast, another podcast. Let people know who you are and what you do. But yeah, we have come to the end of this episode. We have come to the end of season 6. We're gonna do sort of like the wrap up, and then I will let you guys know what the plan is, because we're not going anywhere soon. But yes, it's been great speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you guys for having me. And hopefully, who knows, in the future, we'll have the brand deal with Just Eats and is it Just Eats?
Just Eat.
Just Eats.
Yeah,
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats, Deliveroo, like
the whole shebang, the whole
if
lot.
all 3 of them want to do it, I'm happy.
Yeah, who knows?
Great.
In the future, guys, you'll see us again. But no, honestly, I've loved being on the podcast and just sharing. If anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn,
yes, I'm about to say that.
Yeah, guys, I will accept your connection and I will try to reply to your DM as soon as possible. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I guess before we close things up, do you have anything, like any upcoming stuff with Corporate Collective?
Yes, so we actually have a new WhatsApp community.
Nice.
Yep, so you can join the WhatsApp community. We've actually relaunched our newsletter as well that goes out monthly, sharing all things LinkedIn advice, corporate advice as well. And then also I am doing a workshop at the end of this month with an organization called Motivez. And it's a LinkedIn workshop. So if you do know about Motivez, then feel free to get connected. I work with them quite a lot on just LinkedIn workshops. And then I'd also say follow me, because I've got other exciting things coming out that I can't actually say yet, but it's coming.
Okay,
yeah,
that's what we like to hear.
Yeah, it's coming. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. Before I go into the usual end credits, yes, as I mentioned, last episode, season 6. You don't need to worry, because I need to make sure I've got the right sound effect. No, that's the wrong one. I'm gonna go for the applause. Actually, I'll go for the air horn, because yes, season 7 is we're getting in the works. We do have a plan to change how that will come out, like the setup. As you know, every season we add something new. There will be something new next season that we're going to be trialing. But yeah, it's just to say season 7's coming. It's on its way. Keep an eye on the space. We may take a break from the student guide because, as some of you may know, there was a bit of a gap because we were recording a lot of content and I'm only one man. So we will be back. We will let you know when we are back from a hiatus. We just want to take a bit of rest. Obviously, we're recording in the summer right now, so we just want to get a bit of summer break ourselves. But yes, that's not to say that there won't be other content on this channel. As I mentioned at the start, you can find this channel, Pick Up the Mic, with all your educational, environmental, personal and professional development and entrepreneurship stuff on this channel. You have the sci-fi and fantasy channel, the Two Maesters. You have our gaming channel, Pick Up the Controller, our anime channel, Senseis of Anime. Find all of those on our YouTube page, right at the top. This is I guess closing, not the chapter. We are closing the book of the student guide for season 6. We will see you all very soon in the next episode, or next season and the next episode. So take care, wishing you all the best. We will let you know when we are back. But yes, student guide season 7's coming out. Make sure you click the notification bell so you can get notified when you want to hear it next. But yeah, that's a bye from us here. Have a great day. See you soon.